Hey guys, in this video we're going to be doing lesson 3.3, which is on multiplying matrices. So we're going to start out learning about scalar multiplication, and a scalar is just a number that you multiply the matrix by. And to multiply a matrix by a number, you multiply every element by that scalar. Kind of like the distributive property is essentially what you're doing. So if we're doing 3g we're going to take that 3 and we're going to multiply it by every element inside that matrix. So 15, 10, 27, negative 12. Number 2. So negative 2 times j, negative 7, negative 8, 0. So if we multiply all three of those numbers in the matrix by negative 2, we get 14, 16, 0. Go ahead and pause the video and try numbers 3 and 4. Number 3, you should get negative 7, 35, negative 7, and negative 70. And then number 4, you should have gotten, let's see, negative 12, negative 4, negative 24, and negative 40. So scalar multiplication is pretty straightforward, pretty easy. You could probably do that without your calculator if you know your multiplication facts. Multiplying matrices, when you have two matrices being multiplied together, is a little bit trickier, and it's quite a bit more complicated than adding or subtracting. There are several rules, and the process is a little bit more extensive. So first off, when you are multiplying two matrices, the order matters. It's not like when you multiply two numbers. 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 2 is 6. You can switch those. You cannot always switch to matrices. Now, to multiply your matrices, the number of columns in the first matrix must match the number of rows in the second matrix. They don't necessarily have to have the same dimensions. And I'll show you the easiest way to kind of remember that. If you multiply a 2 by 3 matrix and a 3 by 3 matrix, we want to see if that's even possible. These two middle numbers must match. Okay, so this 3, that's the columns in the first matrix, and this one is the rows in the second matrix. So those two numbers must match, and if they match, then you can multiply them. Also, these outside numbers tell us what the new dimensions will be. It'll be a 2 by 3 matrix. So when we multiply a 2 by 3 and a 3 by 3, we get a 2 by 3. Okay, so let's look and see if we can multiply these matrices. So G is a 2 by 2, and H is also a 2 by 2. So yes, we can multiply them because those middle numbers match. These outside numbers tell us that the product or the answer is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix. Okay. K is a 1 by 3. And M is a 3 by 1. The middle numbers, yes, they match. The outside numbers tell us it's going to be a 1 by 1 matrix. So just one number in it. Okay, J is a 3 by 1. And M is a 3 by 1. These middle numbers do not match. So no, we cannot multiply those. All right, J is a 3 by 1, and K is a 1 by 3. The middle numbers match, yes, and it's going to be a 3 by 3 matrix. So anytime you're asked to multiply matrices, you first need to check to see that it's possible. And I'm going to show you how to do it by hand. Yes, you can do it in the calculator just like you can add and subtract in the calculator, but you're going to be required to know how to do it by hand. You're going to have to show your work some and do some of this by hand. And so it's important that you really pay attention and you follow all of these steps. So step 1, determine if the product exists. Okay, you don't want to go through all this work and then realize it's not going to work out in the end. So step 2 says to circle the rows in the first matrix and the columns in the second matrix. And then step 3 says to find the dot product. And I'm going to show you what the dot product is between each circled row and each circled column. All right, so the dot product, if I have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, to find the dot product, we're going to take 1 times 4 plus 2 times 5 plus 3 times 6. So you're going to multiply the first numbers, multiply the second, multiply the third, and so on, and then you add all that together. So 4 plus 10 plus 18 is 32. So the dot product between those two things there is 32. All right, so let's get into an actual example. So make sure you're really paying attention. All right, so we're going to circle. Well, first we need to decide if it exists. So this, we have a 2 by 3 and a 3 by 2. So this does exist, and I'm going to go ahead and make a spot down here at the bottom for our answer. That's going to help you a little bit. Okay. And then I'm gonna highlight, but you can circle the rows in the first matrix and the columns in the second matrix. And then let's go ahead and say this is row 1, row 2, column 1, column 2. Once you get the full hang of it, you may not have to do all of this labeling, but it's very handy. All right. So if we look at our answer, we have 2 rows and 2 columns. This first spot that I am putting a star in right now, that is row 1, column 1. So I'm going to find the dot product between row 1 and column 1. Row 1, column 1. So we would do 6 times 2 is 12. Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. And negative 4 times negative 3 is 12. So if we add all those together, we get 12. Okay. Then the next element, let's find this one that I put a star in. That one is row 1, column 2. So I'm going to find the dot product between row 1 and column 2. So 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. Negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. And negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. So if we add all those together, we get negative 68. Let's do green. All right, then the next element, if we're going down, is row 2. So let's get row 2 and column 1. Okay, so 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. And negative 6 times negative 3 is 18. So if we add those together, we should get 8, I believe. And then the last element is row 2 and column 2. So 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. Negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. So we should be plussing there. And negative 6 times 5 is negative 30. So if we add all those together, we get negative 53. So as you're doing these by hand, it would be a good idea to actually put these in the calculator and check your answer, but you still are going to have to show the work on some of these. And it is time consuming, I know that, but hopefully once you get the hang of it, it goes really quick. Okay, so let's look at number 10. Okay, we got rows and then columns. Row 1, row 2, column 1, column 2. This is a 2 by 2 matrix multiplied by 2 by 2. So it does work, and our answer is going to be a 2 by 2. So let's start with the first element, row 1 and column 1. So 5 times -1 is -5, and 6 times 0 is 0. So that would be -5. Then we're going to have row 1 and column 2. So that's going to go here because in that answer, that element is in row 1 and column 2. 5 times -1 is -5, and 6 times -4 is -24. So we get -29. All right, then we're going to go down to this element, and that element is in row 2, column 1. So I'm going to dot row 2 with column 1. We get 5 times -1 is -5, and 3 times 0 is 0. So we get -5 again. And then our last one would be row 2 dotted with column 2. 5 times -1 is -5, and 3 times -4 is -12. So we get -17. Let's go on to number 11. We have a 1 by 2 and a 2 by 2. So that can be done, and our answer is going to be a 1 by 2. This one's going to be pretty quick. So we have row 1, and then we have column 1, column 2. All right, so first element there, that's row 1, column 1. 2, -5, dotted with -4, 1. So we have 2 times -4 is -8, and -5 times 1 is -5. We get -13. And then this next element, row 1, there's only one row, column 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. -5 times 2 is -10. And so we get -6. All right, last one, and I want you to pause the video and try this one by yourself. If you still feel a little lost, try to get as far as you can. Try to look back at the steps and try to do it, and then I'm going to work through it. All right, number 12, we've got a 2 by 3 and a 3 by 2. So it works, and our answer is going to be a 2 by 2. Rows, columns. is going to be kind of a long one. -4, 3, -4. So this first element right here, that is row 1. So I'm pulling out my first row that I've got highlighted, and it's also in column 1. So I'm going to dot that with column 1. So we get 16 plus 0 plus -24. So remember, we're multiplying those two, multiplying the middle two, multiplying the third ones, and then adding together. So 16 plus 0 plus -24 is -8. Now the next element I'm going to do is going to be from row 1 and column 2. So we've got 8, -4 times -2 is 8, plus 18, plus 8 again. So if we add those together, we get 34. Right, then I'm going to pull from row 2 and column 1. So -8 plus 0 plus 18. If you add all those together, you get 10. And then the very last one, 2, 2, 3, so row 2 dotted with column 2. So -4 plus 12 plus -6 is 2. All right, so hopefully after those 4 examples you caught on to the process. I know this was a long video and I know it took some time. Remember, you can check your answers with the calculator. Okay, it is possible to do, you just do it in the calculator. You type in your matrix times your other matrix, just type it in, but you still need to know how to do it by hand. I hope you have a great day.